Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Getting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by TagMeADate. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space, now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
Are the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Acclaim. Bring them out here. Listen. Yo. Listen. Listen. Yo. Everybody loves the new champions. Even Adam Levine was in RDMs. Philly knows Private Party sucks. Y'all need to hop off Matt Hardy's nuts. Tonight our hands go up. Y'all are losers, and that's why your band broke up. You know Acclaim been winning. We run your whole team in the ground like Ben Simmons. Acclaim! I'm a rod! Scissor me, daddy! This match is going to be a tall order for the Acclaim.
Welcome, everybody, to the War Report podcast, brought to you by TagMeADate.com. I know it's a little older by now, but it's still the Acclaim, so who gives a shit? One of the best tag teams in the game right now, especially with Gimmick and, of course, Billy Gunn, who's probably more over now than he was with DX. But I digress. Welcome, everybody. I can hear you good now, brother. Perfect. Good. Yes, thank you. So, so sorry again for last week. We had some extreme technical difficulties. Vince was under the weather, so we unfortunately were not able to do the show. But we are back. We are live. It is Tuesday, and we have so much to talk about. We got Crown Jewel coming up. We have Raw SmackDown that took place. We got some AEW. We've got Uncle Howdy. I mean, there's just so many things to talk about. So where the fuck do we begin, Vince? What do you think we should jump right into?
So the thought that I had as I was coming on today and prepping for today was like, Raw is a 3-hour show. It's the longer show. And yet it feels like a majority of the interesting storylines, aka the Bloodline and Bray Wyatt, are on SmackDown, the shorter show. You'd think some of that would be spread over to Raw to kind of both help Raw and also like tell more story. But it seems like, you know, they're set that the Bloodline and the Bray Wyatt stuff is pretty much SmackDown exclusive, and you got to tune in on Friday nights to see it. So I understand the decision. You would think you'd move one of those to Raw to kind of help Raw out a little bit.
Well, you know, I very much agree with you. But I think the other thing too, I'm terrified to have Wyatt and Reigns on the same show because it's inevitable that that's going to go down.
Right.
And I just can't see Roman losing unless it's only for one title, you know, like, you know, so there's got to be some shit, but I also can't see those two go at it and have Wyatt fucking lose.
You can't.
You know, that can't happen. Kevin, what's up? What's people missed 2 podcasts 2 weeks ago due to being in the Bahamas? Well, that's a good fucking reason. With the missus doing an anniversary. Hey, happy anniversary. We're glad to have you back. The Bahamas is awesome, so definitely a valid excuse to miss the show. Don't ever fucking do it again. No, just kidding.
Steve is a professional on those islands down there, man. You go there quite a bit.
And you know what? God bless you, because you know what? You went away and nothing fucking you know, catastrophic took place.
You didn't have the Steve Glenwick curse of going on vacation and then having some major wrestling thing happen behind the scenes.
So yeah, but I guess since we kind of mentioned, I mean, listen, we have to really, I guess, let's start here. I want to start with the bloodline
Mhm.
because every week that we do the show, it always boils down to the best storyline currently right now is the bloodline and our honorary Oos, Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, if you didn't see this past SmackDown, go on YouTube, go on the network on Peacock, do whatever you got to do, but watch the segment with
Mm.
the potential blow up with the bloodline, then Roman coming out and basically saying, listen, and then saying that they need to fix whatever the fuck it is that they're doing. And then Jay, of course, gets all hot and says, I don't give a damn what the tribal chief wants. And then Roman just gets that great look in his face, like, what in the fuck did he just say? Kind of look. And then he does the slow turn back, and then it looks like they're going to go. And then once again, the fucking peacemaker, the honorary Oos, gets in between them and says, no, let's not do this, and blah, 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 blah. And then says, Jay is not being very Oosy. And he was
Yeah.
able to get every single one of them to break live on TV.
Unbelievable.
I mean, even Jay, who was so fired up and hot, had to put his hands down, and you could see in the cheeks like
Oh, yeah.
he was smirk. Roman just said fuck it, started laughing. Even the newest Oos, Sika, fuck it, whatever the fuck his name
Oh,
is.
Solo Sikoa.
Sikoa. Even
Yeah.
he cracked a smile. Like Sami Zayn is just fucking gold. He just can't do any wrong, man. It's just making the dynamic great. The only thing that upsets me is that I think this is setting up the inevitable, and I'm not ready to see the bloodline split. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think it's coming right away, but it's definitely coming. And the good news is especially with a family unit like this, like the Hart Foundation or whatever, you can break them up and bring them back together because ultimately they are family. And family fights and family
Right.
won't get along and won't talk to each other, and then family will eventually get back together. But I think Kevin's onto something. And in the comments here about Jay Uso, he mentioned in a further comment that was a type that Jay is going to be the one that eventually causes him. There's going to be a decision that Jay has to make.
Listen, but you know what though? As much as part of me says you and Kevin are right, and the logical thing is going to be that Jay eventually says fuck this and cost Roman the title, but I still think I still think somehow in the end it's not going to be Jay. It's
Mm.
going to be Jay in the end saying, I told you all along. And inevitably, it's going to be Sami Zayn, and you're going to get Sami and Kevin Owens back together for a run. And I think they fight the Usos for the titles at WrestleMania. I think that's what's going to eventually happen. But it's a long shot. But
right. Well, here's the thing in my head, I felt, and I think I even said it on the podcast, that the way the story was going is that it seemed like they were setting up Kevin Owens to be the one to eventually topple the tribal chief, um, kind of via his relationship with Sammy and then Sammy's relationship with Roman. And I think Sammy's performance has changed that. And I think that as confident as people were during WrestleMania season that when Cody came back, he was going to be challenging Roman at WrestleMania. And for as confident as I was a couple months ago that maybe Kevin Owens was going to get that big push and face Roman at WrestleMania, and then Sammy would have to decide between his friend and the bloodline. Sammy's performance has pushed him as a front runner, man. The only other option for
Sami
Roman
has
at
never been
WrestleMania.
so over, ever.
No, and that's
Like
what I'm
he's
saying.
been
This is you got to
over, and this
capitalize.
is
Right.
like another level.
You have to capitalize on this, and you give. I'm not saying necessarily give him the title, but I mean that's the story would be Sami Zayn wins his first fucking world title from Roman Reigns at WrestleMania after internally causing the breakup of the bloodline and being like the cancer that broke the group up. Not to use sorry, Roman. You know what I mean? Not literal cancer, like he had, like, metaphorical cancer. But I think that's a cool story. And that's really like Seth might be a possible contender, but I mean Seth lost at the Rumble last year. Like, I don't know. I just feel like right now he's your hot hand, man. And if he stays hot all the way through the Rumble and stays hot all the way until March or April, you go with Sammy in this main event unless the fucking Rock comes out of the woodwork. That's the only, you know what I mean?
If they come out with a you're not being Uzi shirt, I'm getting one.
Yeah, how or they should have like a how Usi are you feeling meter with different like a sad J, then like a
Yes. Oh
medium
my
face
god, that
J,
would
then
be
a happy
awesome.
J, and it's like 100% Usi. Is
Just
like
him saying that one line, do you have
fucking
any
Usi.
idea the amount of merchandise that they can push just from that? Like, he's just so fucking gold, man. Everything he fucking says and does. It's just, even Heyman cracks.
Yeah, dude. It was and within like the first 24 hours of it being online, it got 12 million hits on YouTube, and many many more today. So yeah, this is
Kev,
the continuity of this bloodline thing started, what, 18 months, 2 years ago. Jay
yeah,
fought
well,
Roman.
Kevin says, remember Jay fought Roman before and tapped out Roman over the head of the table thing. Jey Uso never forgot that. Look at how he looks at Roman sometimes, like, I owe Roman. Yeah, I totally get
Yep.
it. And I
There's a
think that
receipt coming.
if there was an Oos that was gonna turn, it would be him, obviously. But I still think, in the end, I think it's gonna be Sammy. But it'll either way, it's gonna be great. So I just hope they keep it going as long as possible. There's no reason to rush and separate the bloodline and Sami Zayn. Keep this going for as long as you can, because
Yeah, dude.
it's one of the best stories on television. You know what I mean? Like, I tune in right now to SmackDown for that, and I tune in to see what the fuck we're gonna get with Bray Wyatt. And that's the next thing I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, and
Because we got another great promo out of Bray, which, let's be honest, Bray Wyatt does not ever cut a bad promo.
no.
He could cut a promo about the sky being blue and it would be the greatest fucking promo ever. He's kind of, in that respect, to me, he's kind of in line with Paul Heyman, in the sense
Right.
that, to me, Paul Heyman never ever cuts a bad promo. And Bray is just so captivating, and just the way he presents it, he says his words, just everything about it. I've just always been a huge fan of Bray. So we get another great entrance. We get another great promo out of Bray, another heartfelt side of Bray that we're not used to seeing. And then, of course, he gets interrupted again, and we get introduced to a full view of Uncle Howdy. First, I want to say that is one creepy fucking mask. And there are a lot of rumors over the internet, a lot of things flying around about who is Uncle Howdy. I've heard everything as an Elder Wyndham. I've heard Bo that there was an earring that matches what Bo used to wear.
Yeah, the little hang,
So
it's like a dangly crucifix
right.
earring.
So I mean, that's very possible, but I almost feel like Uncle Howdy, based on the mask, is portraying an older person.
So I figured that me and I don't know if Flash is watching. If Flash is in here, drop a comment. But me and Flash were talking a couple weeks ago. Right. So Uncle Howdy is being played by Bo Dallas, almost certainly. Bet the house on it.
So
But
you're convinced that's
yes,
that is
but
it. Okay.
so here's the deal. When Uncle Howdy first came out, like the first kind of rumblings of it, and like it was just flashes of like all you saw was an old man like mustache, basically. You saw like a nose and a mustache, and people were thinking, well, maybe it's a real person and not a mask. Now, obviously, we see it's a mask, but when people thought it was a real person, one of the rumors was that it was going to be his real life uncle, Kendall Windham, former WCW wrestler. Here's the interesting part. If you go and Google what Kendall Windham looks like now,
Looks
he
like
looks
Uncle
like the
Howdy.
fucking mask. So I think
Really?
the mask is a literal tribute to his uncle.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Same kind of facial hair. Like when I put in Kendall Windham into Google Images when I first saw the Howdy thing, and I'm like, yeah, that's either him or it's like a man.
They
Now it's a mask of
really
him. Yeah.
are doing absolutely everything right with this entire thing. It just keeps you
Ooh,
coming
look at
back
this.
every week. It
Hit
keeps
that
you
comment
coming
there.
back every week to want to see what's next and which character or which
Ooh,
whatever we're going to see. Kevin says Uncle
right.
Howdy's based off the
Widowmaker, but
Widowmaker,
yeah.
Barry Windham. See, well,
And it could be either of them because those are legitimately the uncles of him. So it could be, it could be an homage to either of them. I guess as we reveal more of the costume, you know, and the get up and the character, we'll see which way they're leaning. That's cool though. I forgot about the Widowmaker.
but it shows you how much thought and how much effort they're really putting into this, and it's all making sense. It's all relatable
Right.
stuff that will be able to be explained, and even though it's out there, it's still fantastic because this is what we've been waiting for. And I just, my only thing, and I don't know, not that it's a big deal, but I just really selfishly wish we were getting something on Monday and something on Friday. Like
Same. Same.
I'm not looking, to just see this is what happened, tune in, and now they're promoting that Bray's going to be in
Right.
Saudi. So what's he going to do there? I mean, it's,
Well, because I wanted to bring that up. This is the kind of, I don't want to say, criticism or anything, but this is the one thing I've kind of noticed about this whole Bray Wyatt thing. Aside from like the commentators, I feel like nobody else is addressing the elephant in the room that a superstar that was gone for 18 months, former world champion, this, that, and the third, big spooky guy haunting and possessing people, burning houses down or whatever. He's back, and like nobody's taught, like not even like Alpha Academy's backstage. Like, holy shit, did you see the fucking puppet the other day? Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's talking about Bray Wyatt being back. Everybody on Twitter, the audience is talking about it. Nobody's talking about it on the show. It's weird.
maybe it's one of those things.
It's until they reveal who
Right.
his target is.
I'm gonna assume that's Tara. No
Oh, yeah.
worries. Welcome. So I don't know, man. It's just everything they're doing is just absolutely fantastic. They're really hitting it on all cylinders.
Which is
Um,
nice to see because this was the reason that he, left in the first place. This was his vision, and he wanted to say, "Hey guys, I know, especially when Vince McMahon was in charge. He says, Vince, I know you write all the shows, you do all this stuff. How's it going, Tara? But and like Vince is the end all be all, but just let me take the reins for a little while."
right,
And Vince was allowing him a little bit of control, but obviously there was a conflict there between how much control Bray Wyatt had over the direction of the character and the way the vignettes were filmed and all this other stuff. So now, with that being a different landscape, this is as much as you say they're doing such a good job, which they are, because obviously it's their crew and their camera people and all this stuff. But what I'm saying is, like, when it boils down to it, he's doing a fantastic job. Like they're all working at the direction of him, and it's his
right,
vision, and he's just, it'll be interesting to see once once it's all said and done with Bray Wyatt and he retires and works for NXT or what the fuck ever. What is he gonna do? What is he gonna create for other people, like, down the line? What stories and what characters is he gonna create for the next generation?
right. It's true. It's very true. It's great. It's great TV.
Mm.
It's doing everything that it is supposed to do, and that's ultimately get you to tune in because you just can't wait to see what's going to happen next. I like how they're not rushing him back into a match.
Yeah, yeah.
That build, because now that's what we want. We want to get him back in the ring, but overall, we got him back. and it's just been great. So we'll see what happens this Friday. We'll see what happens on Saturday. It's going to be very interesting. There's something else I wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
You know, Triple H is doing a hell of a job, and he's
Mhm.
doing a lot of things right. Um, I gotta say though, I don't understand what we're doing in the women's division.
On which show?
Like, you put them together. At
Put
this point, I just, it. So I'm just going to throw out some examples, and I'm going to kind of jump around because this is going to hit on Raw too. But you've put all this time and energy and this build into creating this damage control group.
right.
You build them up. You finally have them win the tag team titles. They have it 30 days or so, and now they just dropped them to Bliss and Asuka, who've been off TV for 30 days and just came back from injury and now win the tag belts. Now, listen, I love Alexa. I love Asuka. I ultimately like them better as singles,
Oh yeah, for
quite
sure.
honestly. But but I don't know how does that help with your building of this team by having them drop before Bailey even has a chance to win the title. I don't know. It just
Mhm.
seemed like an off move, and then I think we're definitely feeling the lack of Sasha and the lack of Charlotte and Becky. I think Bianca's doing a great job, but you bring Nikki Cross back. She's now Sanity Nikki, one of the best versions of, in my opinion.
She's
Um,
Sandy from Greece, right at the end of Greece during the big car race. That's what she's dressed like.
yeah, but she's back to yelling and screaming and
Oh
being
yeah,
nuts and whatever and hitting herself and shit. Like, this is the best version of her. So you bring her back. She
yeah. That
interferes in the
superhero thing
main
wasn't
event,
it, dude.
and she's not really heel or face because she's attacking everybody. So okay, that's cool. Now you have the first match of Raw be Bianca versus Nikki, and a great match, but Nikki loses. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with the fact that Nikki shouldn't go over on Bianca. However, you're putting them in that situation. Why?
Yeah,
Like, I just don't understand. I wouldn't have had Nikki come back and go right after Bianca to have her lose her first match back as this new Nikki Cross. Then you flip over and you have the return of Emma. Fucking great. Madcap
yeah.
Moss, congratulations. You got her back. That's awesome. And that's not a knock. I always liked Emma. I didn't
Right,
necessarily like the gimmick, but if she's going to be the gimmick that she was when she came back out, she's not dancing. She's not being goofy. She's doing her thing.
right,
She
right.
still looks fucking great. She put on a hell of a match with Ronda, like to the point where you actually thought there was a chance Ronda was going to lose. There were some great false finishes, and in the end, Emma loses. So
Yep.
Emma's been gone from WWE for years. You have her come back, and her first match back, she loses. I just don't, I can keep going. But these are some of the examples where I'm saying to myself, I just don't understand where we're going with this women's division. And
Mhm.
now, if you put Alexa and Asuka back as champions, what other teams are there? Yes, Damage Control get their rematch, so this will go on, but there's no other fucking teams. So what are you just going to start putting people back to? Like, what are we? Somebody
Yeah,
needs to focus on this women's division because they have so much fucking great talent, but it seems to be going to the wayside. You got Dewdrop outside of her name is fucking great. You're not doing dick with her. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of examples. We have a Facebook user. Speaking of Raw, I don't know if you addressed this earlier, but I felt so bad watching Court. Yeah. So, Tara, since we're talking about the women, in case you don't know, the reason why we have not seen Carmella on TV as of late is because she unfortunately had a miscarriage. Which is just an absolute horrible thing to go through. And the kind of
yeah.
miscarriage she had, from what I understand, is a much more severe, could be life-threatening type
R-
of miscarriage. And,
Right, I believe it
you
was
know,
an ectopic pregnancy, which is never. Yeah,
correct.
that's
Yeah.
something that requires. Yeah, like a procedure to.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it's just a horrible thing, and good for Corey Graves to be able to come out and do a hell of a job that he did as on commentating with this going on. And I wish him all the best, and I hope Carmella can get back soon. But that sucks, man. I'm glad,
Yeah.
health wise, she's gonna be okay. But that's just a horrible thing to have to go through.
Oh, for sure. And that's, for him to be on TV while she's going through that and having to pretend that nothing is wrong or, just not even talk about it.
At the end of the day, you're going back to
Yeah.
work.
And he's that's the thing. He went back to
But
work.
you
I'm
know
sure
what? The truth of the matter is, I firmly believe that if he went to upper management and said, "Hey, look,
they would have
I
given
need
time
I
for
need
sure.
some time," they would have given it to him without question. So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Carmella's also saying, "No, do you? I'll be okay," kind of thing. But she's
Right.
a tough cookie. So, but and listen, there's tons of fun in trying again. So
There you go.
you know.
That's yeah, you gotta look on the bright side
That's
sometime,
you
man.
got
That's
to try
really
silver lining. But
real.
yeah, so I just, with all that being said, it's just this women's division. I don't know. Um
Yeah, man.
we just need to figure out something. Maybe you need to put Stephanie to like totally oversee that. I don't know. From what I understand, this was a second miscarriage. I don't know, but if so,
Yeah, if it is,
that's just
that's
horrible.
man. But yeah, I think that it's funny because I feel like Triple H is doing the Tony Khan speed run right now. He's doing the you know, push all the people that the fans want, hire back all the people that the fans asked to hire back, and then also completely forget about the women's division. Like he's doing everything that Tony Khan did in the last 3 years, he's done in like 6 months.
I
So
mean, I yes and no. I mean, I think a lot of his rehires, I
oh, they
think
were good rehires for
they were
sure.
the right ones. Um, but Tara agrees with my Stephanie comment. I think you put
There
her in
needs to be
charge. Let
yeah,
Triple H focus
yeah.
on everything else. But you
Right,
know,
and that's the other thing. That's what even Tony Khan hired Madison Rain as his advisor for the women's division. I know Kenny Omega had a hand in it prior. Brandy had a hand in it for a little while, I know, when she was around. But it's
but you know what though, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off,
no,
but
but
if
you
I
just gotta have a separate, you do have a set you should have a separate team handling it so
you do
everybody can
make a
focus
point
on it.
though in the comparison where he's kind of really listening to the crowd. Another example of that, and I'm kind of shifting away from the women's thing because I think we made our point there, but
Yeah, it
I
is what it
think
is.
it's I agree with you because as I think about it, I mean, Seth Rollins is another perfect example. So apparently this week he was face, and he was playing up to the crowd. He was high fiving and put the blonde
Hey.
streaks back in his
Yeah,
hair, and
yeah.
the crowd's constantly singing with him and all that. Like the crowd has been dictating, like, look, we want to cheer this guy, so we're going to. So I think they're finally like making him a face, even though he had this thing with Ali. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm okay with it. I somebody I read somebody who's like big in the business. I forget who the fuck it was. Said that they believe he's the next Shawn Michaels. I mean, I think
I mean,
Seth Rollins is unbelievably talented in the ring. I
yeah.
think he's absolutely incredible.
He
I
can
don't
probably do
necessarily
more moves than Sean, but I don't think
right,
he's Sean.
but right, like for me, I've never liked Seth on the mic. I don't like his voice. I
I'm
don't
with
like
you.
most of the gimmicks. I just have not been a great big fan of. Um, Maybe I can get in with this one that we're gonna get now with the crowd and everything else. But
Mm.
I've never taken anything away from what he can do in the ring. His let me tell you something. His match with A Town Up Down, the fuck his name, Money in the Bank kid,
Oh yeah, yeah. Austin Theory.
Austin Theory, that was a phenomenal match. I mean, if you didn't watch that match, go back and watch it. I'm telling you, absolutely fantastic match. It's just things like that. It just makes a difference.
I'm gonna see
So
who that is in
what
the
up,
comments.
fam?
I'm going
Sorry,
to.
I'm
That's
MIA.
Eddie.
Oh, hey Eddie, I haven't been feeling very oozy. I'm a tad under the weather. Should be back next week. No worries, man. I'm glad you checked in. I hope you feel better.
Yeah, that shit's going
Um,
around, dude. I had it last week.
but hopefully next week you'll be feeling more oozy. We'll
Yeah.
get you going. But yeah, so I a lot's going on, man. There's just a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, well, so Seth is a weird thing because I agree with you. I don't think he's the next Shawn Michaels because I don't think he has that. I don't know, man. Like I said, he can do more moves than Shawn, but the way Shawn executed moves and the meaning behind them and then the pageantry and all that is just like there's a reason he's considered one of, if not the best, of all time, especially in the new style of wrestling, not like the Ric Flair Hulk Hogan style, but like that
And listen, you can't take
90s
away from
style.
him. He's one of those guys that can go either way. He can be heel or face and get over.
Yep.
So, you got to give that. That's not an easy thing to do. There
Yeah.
are guys that can't do it. So,
Well, and I always felt that they didn't listen to the fans when it came to Seth Rollins. You remember there were a couple times he came back from like a knee injury or a quad injury or whatever, and like he'd make his re-debut on Raw, and there would be a big pop and everybody would cheer, and then he'd come out and be like, "Well, this town stinks," and they're like, "Oh, boo, we got to boo him again." Like they were so ready to cheer him whenever he made his comebacks, and they were just like, "Nope, he's gonna be a heel again." So they just kept going
yeah.
opposite of what the
I feel
fans
like
wanted.
they did what they did with Rollins' music to get the fans to sing it because they wanted to compete with Jericho's over in AEW. I really think that's where it started. And it worked. But by doing that, you got him over. So,
Yeah.
you got to now shift gears and go with it. And that's the beauty of professional wrestling. You can do that. Big Show was a heel and a face every other week. And it just is what it is. So you just never know what it's going to be. Um, but yeah, so as great of a job, and I say great because he's doing a great job. There are some things that need to, in my opinion, shape up a little bit. And that women's division is one of them because you have some of the most talented women in the entire world under your umbrella, and they're not being used the way they should, you know?
Yeah, man, and like you said, some questionable decisions about bringing people back, and then Bailey loses her world title things, and not that she should have just Bianca should just immediately have lost her title, but to keep a challenge, you got to keep a challenger credible for a certain amount of time, and even like Emma, like she looked credible and she had a good match, but that was her. Her re-debut and her world title challenge and then subsequent world title loss were all in the span of like friggin' 15 minutes. You know, like why couldn't you have Emma come out and challenge her, and then she's the challenger at Saudi Arabia or whatever the next event is? You know what I mean? Like, why not set
Right.
up a feud instead of just, hey, she's back. Oh, she lost. Like, that's a little too quick.
Yeah, I mean that's just like the booking part is what I just am having a tough time. I just don't understand why, somebody like Emma you bring back, and it was a big surprise. I mean, it kind of leaked on social media about an hour before there was something that I saw that said former
That's about as good
superstar
as you're gonna get
backstage.
this
But
nowadays. You know?
yeah, but I also did know that she's been fucking Madcap Moss, and I just knew it was going to be a matter of time because he's well liked with management. So, and Emma was always liked. She was always a good worker.
Right.
She's good on the mic. She's good in the ring. Why they let her go, I'm sure there was some bullshit backstage or something. I don't know the real, but she's one that they shouldn't have let go. She's been doing a great job since she left, doing all these other
Oh, for
indies and
sure.
everything else. And,
Impact.
so
She basically
yeah,
reinvigorated her career in Impact.
yeah.
So good
So
for
I'm
her.
excited to see what she can do.
Yeah, hopefully they
Um,
give her something to sink her teeth into now that she's back.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of the women's division and speaking of Seth Rollins, kind of related,
Becky
just
Lynch.
announced earlier today, Becky Lynch will be making her television return as Cyndi Lauper in an episode of Young Rock.
Oy vey.
I'm trying to figure out, are they gonna have somebody overdub the voice? Like she doesn't sound. Cyndi Lauper has a very, when Cyndi Lauper's talking, and she
Right.
doesn't sound like Becky Lynch.
Maybe
But the hair and the
Becky,
fashion and shit,
maybe.
maybe.
I mean, the look wise, I could see it getting over, but maybe she'll be able to do something with her voice or the beauty of technology. Maybe
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm also trying
but
to figure out where this fits in because they're also saying that coming up on the season of The Young Rock, they're going to be introducing
the nation,
the Nation, which is
yep,
great.
I'm
But
excited,
so
and
so they're
Hogan.
going right. So they're going back and forth. They're going kind of really forward, and then they're also going to go back to like I guess when Rock was a kid and was
Yeah, but
like
that's
when
what
his
they've been
dad was in
doing.
wrestling. But
That's
it'll
pretty
be
much what they've
interesting
been
for
doing.
him to go all the way back. Like this might be the widest gap. Like the first WrestleMania versus like the debut of the Nation. That might be the biggest gap on the
Oh,
show.
right,
You know
because
what I mean?
Cyndi Lauper was WrestleMania. Right, that's true. Oh, it's gonna be very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. That's a great show.
It's a
Um,
fun little show, man. Like, you can't take it seriously. It's not like,
no, but even like the people that they're getting to portray the wrestlers are pretty fucking spot on. A lot of them.
right. It's really it's they did as good of a job. Like Luke Hawx, who's a legitimate indie wrestler, is now Stone Cold, and he does a very good job as Stone Cold on that show. Sounds like him, kind of, pretty much looks like him. Yeah, dude,
The Savage
the
is
guy that played
great.
Andre, yeah, Savage
Andre's
is
great.
great. The actually the people who play his parents are like spot on, looking like his parents. Like the whole extended family just looks like pictures of the extended family. It's pretty cool.
I I really see really what I love Young Rockets. I DVR that
Yeah, I
shit
bet you
every time it's
who's
on. I am
who's
not
saying
shitting on the show. I love that show. It's a great show.
I was gonna say who's it which one of you is talking sideways about Eddie said really? Wow. And then Tara loves Young Rock. So Triple H Mankind. Yo, that scene
Yeah,
with
I saw
Triple H
that too.
Mankind Undertaker,
It's gonna be
that
great.
was interesting. It's a fun show. Like, it's not necessarily completely 100% factually autobiographical. It's just kind of
Doesn't
it's a
have to be.
fictionalized version of it, which is kind of cool. So
It's fun.
yeah,
So, all right. So we talked about the debacle with the women.
hmm
We talked about Seth Rollins, and now it looks like he's going to be a face.
hmm
Um, trying to think of what else is like big before we get into Crown Jewel.
well now Dominic and Judgment Day against the
I will say this: I do like a heel Dominic. I do like the
way
darkness
more.
with him. I do. Um, I don't know that I like him with them, or I like how he's kind of being like Eddie Guerrero, although he will never be Eddie Guerrero. But he is doing a hell of a frog splash. Um, I don't know. I'm
That and
still
I was
not
thinking the
completely
same thing,
over.
dude.
I don't mind the show. I'm talking about the characters looking like the actual wrestlers. The show is
Yeah,
decent. They're pretty fucking
they're
close.
pretty good.
Some of them.
They're
Some of
close.
them.
Yeah, some of them are close, some of them are not, but some of them are pretty close. Um, yeah, no, I'm with you.
We were transitioning over to the fuck did we just say?
I know we both lost it reading that comment.
I know. Thank you, Eddie. You fucker. Shit.
Oh yeah, Dominic. So here's what I was
Oh yeah,
thinking, and
Dominic.
we were on the same page about this. Is he needs to just pull the trigger and say, "I'm now Dominic Guerrero," to get the ultimate heat and kind of distance himself from. Because when you hear Dominic Mysterio, you expect mask 619, flashy this that lucha libre stuff, and the kid's fucking twice the size of his dad and doesn't really do lucha libre stuff. So like to distance himself from the Mysterio name might be better for him. And as we said probably last week or the week before, if he says I'm Dominic Guerrero now, and he
That would be
takes
great.
Rhea Ripley as his China, they can just do the Latina Heat thing all over again.
That could be interesting. I
They could
gotta tell
even
you
win the
though,
Intercontinental
Rhea
Championship together.
Ripley's starting to annoy the hell out of me every fucking week with the low blows and this and that. Who are the OC and AJ going to get women wise to join the club?
I was going to bring up the
I
exact
mean,
same thing, but especially because now it's not even like it's not even like she's just doing one or two things or like low blowing or hitting you with a chair. She's like legitimately body slamming. Like she's fucking these guys up. She took the
Yeah.
biggest guy of their group and body slammed him.
And
What
they're
other
still not
woman?
touching her, which is the right thing to
Right.
do. But like,
Unless they
not for nothing, I'm getting to the point where I'm missing the days of Bubba Ray and Devon putting a fucking woman through a table with a power
see,
bomb off the
and I
top
don't
rope.
know if they're leading
Can't
to
do it
that
anymore.
or what. Yeah. There's no, I can't think of a woman her size or like quote unquote power level right now that could square up with her that they could bring in. Like, who would they bring? They would have to
Beth
bring in.
Phoenix.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they would have to bring in somebody like a big, like
And
and
actually, now that we're
another
talking,
imposing woman.
well, and listen, now that we're talking about it out loud, that would actually make the most sense because um, that chapter's not closed yet. The last we saw, Beth got concertoed, if you
Right.
remember. So
Oh yeah, so
Beth
she could
hasn't
definitely
come
come
back
back
for
and
her
help.
revenge yet. So
Definitely.
yeah,
Didn't even have to
so
look.
but yeah, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see which direction they take that. So there's a lot of interesting shit going, and a lot of. And before we get into Crown Jewel, because we got 20 minutes left, I love what they're doing with Lesnar and Lashley. This week
Oh
they
yeah.
had the quote unquote interviews that they were going to do live, and Bobby Lashley sitting there and he starts cutting his promo, and Brock just says "fuck this" and comes out to the ring. And next thing you know, they get into another brawl, and then Triple H and the whole locker room's out there breaking it up. Matt Riddle's trying to break it up with his slippers. I didn't really understand what that was about, but it was just I like the build. I like what they're doing with the two week after week, going through tables and this and that. I think it just came out of fucking nowhere. And after Saudi, like, is Brock leaving again, or is he going to hang out for a while? What's the future there?
Dude, I think the future of Brock Lesnar is
See him again at the Rumble.
dependent. It's really dependent on the finish of that match. Because if if he wins, he's gonna be around a little bit more. I think if he loses, he maybe he takes another little break. He
Well,
could
not
be,
necessarily.
he's
It's not
always
for a
good.
belt or anything, so he
Yeah,
could win and just leave.
that's true. He could just win, but then you have a guy on the roster like you have just Lashley left to pick up the pieces of losing.
And are they doing this to turn Lashley heel because Brock will be over to then rekindle the
Right.
feud with Rollins because he never got his rematch for the U.S. belt?
See, I don't know, because you're right. It is, we're getting towards that time. It's November 1st now, and Royal Rumble's coming up. Day one, the 1 year experience. They did it once. What? Maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. The day one pay per view or live event experience thing. That's donezo. No more event on day one. So we're really after
No
Survivor
more Hell in the
Series.
Cell pay-per-view either.
Yeah, no
Now,
more Hell in the Cell, which is
which
nice
I'm totally okay with. Just
because you can
use it
then
as you
right.
can just put that in any time
Yeah,
and
it
make
doesn't
it
have to
something
be
special. It doesn't have to be a whole fucking pay-per-view. So I'm good.
exact. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so you're right. We're heading into the season where Brock Lesnar could hang around for a little bit, make a Rumble appearance, and then you know something happens in the Rumble to tease his WrestleMania opponent, and then he takes another couple weeks off or a month off or two, and then comes back in March and builds up his opponent for WrestleMania or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of things because now, I feel like everything they're doing now is building to Survivor Series.
Hmm.
And then everything will kind of from there start off to really getting ready for the road. You know what I mean? So because now all the stories are building to like I think even with what they're doing with damage control and Bianca and all them, like they're building to like a war games type of thing, or I feel like they're gonna wind up doing a Wyatt Six versus I hope not Bloodline, but there's rumors that that's what they're thinking about for Survivor Series.
Hmm.
I just don't want Bray's first feud back to be with the Bloodline. Um, because I don't think that's good for anybody, really.
Right. Maybe you do Bray Wyatt against Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar can take that loss.
Is
It would
Brock
make
willing to take that loss? Is the
it
question.
would right. If he is, it instantly makes Bray Wyatt a big deal because then even without a title on him,
Yeah,
you
but
beat
hold on.
Brock Lesnar, you're kind of set up to be the
Let's
next
let's
guy.
be honest though. Look who we're talking about. Does he have to prove that he's a big deal at this point?
Well,
You
no,
know what
but
I
to
mean?
establish yourself as like number one contender, you could beat Brock Lesnar and be like, all right, well now I'm kind of like, I'm justified in me wanting the title because I beat this big beast. Uh, Lesnar, Lashley, almost Strowman, fatal 4-way at Mania in a ladder match. I can see maybe half of those guys climbing a ladder. If I ever saw almost climb a ladder, I'd immediately call OSHA. That's some kind of violation. And I also don't know if his knees could take it.
Flash Flores forgot you were podcasting.
That's all
Triple
right,
H
Flash.
Triple H opened the forbidden
Oh, well, we've
door,
got
which is true.
Nakamura going over to Pro Wrestling Noah. Is that against Muda?
Yeah, against
Yeah,
the
so
great
he's got
Muda.
so Muda's got this he's retiring. Keiji Muto, Great Muda, is retiring, and big tour, closing out with a series of like dream matches and stuff. One of which is a tag team match with Sting actually going over to Japan to perform with Muda one last time in a tag team. And yeah, and then this out of nowhere announcement, Nakamura facing Muda one more time. Nakamura hasn't worked outside WWE since he signed with them, and they're
Most
usually
most
not
most
cool with that.
anybody in WWE, if they're on the roster, they're not wrestling for anyone else. Like that's always been a
Exactly.
thing. So this just shows you, under Triple H, listen, one day there is a chance we're gonna get a fucking AEW WWE Forbidden Door.
So the interesting thing about that is Pro Wrestling Noah was initially concerned that if they asked WWE for Nakamura, that AEW would be mad about it. And they were like, no. I mean, here's the thing. You're right.
If
It's
I'm Tony, I'm thinking,
right.
well,
Well,
that's
go
a
for
good
it.
sign,
Right. Because
like
and yeah, and it also shows the respect that everyone has for the Great Muda. Because
true.
this is like remember that one time where they were filming that Beyond the Mat documentary, and they were filming Terry Funk, and they really thought he was going to retire,
Yeah.
and they had a big card, like 10,000 people showed up or whatever it was in Amarillo, and he wrestled Bret Hart, and like WCW put people on the show. WWF sent people for like ECW. Everybody, every major promotion sent talent to this house show to honor Terry Funk, and which they don't really do. They do it. They did it when the referee whose name when Pee Wee passed away in WCW. Um, they did it for him, where they sent from all talent from all the companies, and then they
Right.
did it for Funk. But they don't. This doesn't have to have all these big companies working together because the Great Muda is such a legend. Like, wow, like he's a legitimately is a big deal. So it's cool that they're doing this for his
It
retirement.
just really shows you that right now there's always when you we as wrestling fans, we are conditioned to always hear and say, you never say never in this business. That has never been more true than right now. That whole idea of,
Absolutely.
could one day we see the elite versus the bloodline, or how about a rebirth of the Shield for one night, and Ambrose winds up working with Ron. Like, there's just so many
Mm.
fucking things. And Moxley, excuse me. But there's just. But anyway, we got about 11 minutes.
Yeah, let's see here. We
Thinking
got
maybe we should go over Crown Jewel and give an idea of what we're thinking.
we got the looks like we got an 8-match card here. So WWE is promoting a 10 years of ostensibly the Shield, but they're calling it 10 years of Reigns and Rollins. They mention Dean Ambrose in the in the article
How do
online,
you not?
but they don't call it the 10, they can't call it the 10-year Shield anniversary anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
That's true.
they're missing one piece. So they're just they just focus on but to think that those guys have been around 10 years now, holy shit. um
Yeah, you're not kidding.
But we'll start from the bottom up. We got this tag team match for women's championship. Alexa Bliss and Asuka defending against the former champions Damage Control, Dakota Kai and Io Sky.
I mean, I can't see Alexa losing and Asuka losing since they just won it, so I'll go with them.
I know a part of me thinks they lost it just to win it back in Saudi Arabia so that they can have like fireworks and shit and for the Saudi Arabia, like get a title change, have people like a title change in Saudi Arabia for them.
Ah,
I don't know. I think you're right, but I'm just putting,
I mean,
devil's advocate.
I mean, that's not so fucking far-fetched, but
I'm still thinking in the old. I gotta see a couple more of these pay-per-views.
I'm just hoping that we don't
the
do
new
it
regime
just
is
so
like.
that they get fireworks. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Alexa and Asuka got some fireworks too. It's not like Saudi Arabia fireworks, but they did get some fucking pyro after
Right.
their
Yeah.
win.
Yeah. They got the celebration thing. I'm just saying. I mean, they even had Drew McIntyre lost, and then he sang with Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion, right afterwards. So, like, I don't
So
know. They still
fucking
do that weird shit.
stupid.
Anyway, next match is for the undisputed tag team championships. On the men's side, it's the Usos, Jay and Jimmy Uso, seeing if they're feeling Usi against the Brawling Brutes, Ridge Holland and Butch, aka Pete Dunne.
I gotta stay Usi.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on.
You gotta go with the Usos.
Right.
So did one of the Good Brothers defend that title in New Japan? No.
Fuck no.
Did he just like no show?
So he said that he's not defending the title in that thing. And he basically, the idea is that he's a heel in New Japan anyway. So he's just like, screw you, I'm not going. So they've made another match between the guy who was supposed to challenge and then another contender for the title. And I think they're just going to have like an eliminator match where the winner eventually faces him. Probably January 4th at the Tokyo Dome at, the Wrestle Kingdom.
That's funny. All right, what's next?
Yeah, because that match was supposed to happen the same time as Crown Jewel, but in Japan, and he can't be in two places at once. Thank God.
Difficult.
We have two sour boys. Let's see. Bianca Belair defends her Raw Women's Championship against Bayley in a last woman standing match.
Wait, who is it?
Bianca Belair versus Bayley.
I don't.
Last woman standing.
If this was, I gotta stick with Bianca.
Yeah,
I don't see her losing in Saudi.
I kind of agree. I feel like if she's gonna lose, it should probably be
here
in the here. And Tara, so that's Tara's comment there. If you want to pop that in before the show. So before we go, not sure if he's watching, but give a shout out to happy birthday to Christopher. That's Tara's
happy
brother.
birthday.
Happy birthday, big man. Tara loves you. Cool, man.
Happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday, man. Have a good one.
Man. Yeah. So
oh, and happy birthday to Eric, by the way. Today's his
Eric,
big
who's
day.
not on the show.
Yeah,
right.
I would hope he's out partying for his fucking birthday. But happy birthday, brother.
Too. Yeah, we'll catch up with you next week, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So yeah, I think Bianca Belair. I feel like like you said, hot. She's the hot hand. You got to stick with that.
Yeah, you got to go with Bianca.
Can't stand her. Wow, that's a strong opinion on Bianca. Braun Strowman,
a rare one too.
Yeah, I know. Not many people say are on that side. Anyway, who was that? That was Tara making that pick. Strowman versus almost just a singles match. Strowman's gonna win. I mean, this is a glorified house show. We're not gonna have.
Yeah, I gotta go with Strowman.
Yeah, for sure. This one though, next one, steel cage match. Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross, of course, coming to the ring with Scarlett.
I'm going with Kross.
I feel like he's on a hot streak, man. You got it. Yeah, I feel like well, did Kross win that strap match?
Yeah. So if Kross wins this one, that should finito it, and let's move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Let's fucking move on.
Now let's give McIntyre a belt because that's what we do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, because he lost a bunch of times. He gets the belt.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. We were just talking about that.
I'm gonna go with Lesnar.
The safe money is always on Lesnar.
It's always on Lesnar.
You gotta pick him.
I think about his last time out, he lost. Like
right, yeah.
Brock, Yeah, I'll come back and lose again. I don't think so.
Now he's got to win in between his. You're right. He's got to win a couple, and then lose.
Yeah. Tara's going
Um,
across too, by the way.
yeah, that's a good pick. OC, Styles, Gallows, and Anderson versus the Judgment Day, Balor, Priest, and Dominic with Rhea Ripley.
I gotta go with the fucking OC because they haven't won a fucking match all month.
They have to.
Like
Yeah,
Gallows and Anderson have not won a match yet.
something's got to happen.
So I gotta go with the OC.
Yeah. Carl Anderson was swore he'd
And I
never go back
think
to Saudi
I think
Arabia
that
after the last
that
time.
might
He's
be
back.
I think that might be where we get the
reveal.
The reveal of which women's going to be with the OC. Tara's going to go with the OC on this one as well.
For sure. And then in our main event, and I use that term loosely, unfortunately, a singles match for the undisputed Universal Championship of the universe. Roman Reigns defends his championship against YouTube sensation Logan Paul.
If Roman doesn't win, we riot.
So Jeff Jarrett thinks that Logan Paul should win.
And that's why Jeff Jarrett isn't doing anything right now.
Jeff Jarrett, who was one of the people, he lost that title, even though Bischoff was pinned. Jarrett lost the title to David Arquette in that match. That was a tag team match for the title for some stupid reason. So, yeah, as the guy who lost to David Arquette, why the fuck would you bring that back up? Listen, I understand if you wanted to make him 24/7 champion, US champion, intercontinental champion, tag team champion with R-Truth, whatever the fuck. Like, there's a lot of things you could do with Logan Paul. Being the goddamn universal champion of the whole goddamn WWE. Come on now. Come on. At least not right. Like, if you told me that it was Saudi Arabia and Drew McIntyre or Karrion Kross was the WWE champion, I'd say, yeah, maybe Logan Paul wins. I don't see a universe unless, as I've said in the past, unless Logan Paul pulls out a gun and shoots Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is not wearing that bulletproof vest anymore. That's the only way Logan Paul wins that match.
Well, and now they're claiming that he has screws in his hand, which is why his punch is so lethal.
Oh yeah, there we go. They're going with the old Lex Luger.
There was a picture. There was a picture of it on going around social media today with an X-ray showing. So, I just.
So it's going to be the power of the punch kind of match. Like you're waiting for him to take the wrapping off. And
I will say this: if Roman loses, you do not want to miss next week's show.
You're right.
I will say that. And on that note, we are at the top of the hour.
Oh man, that's it. Yeah, big week coming for wrestling, big weekend coming for wrestling. We've got, of course, NXT's tonight, AEW's on Wednesday, Rampage is on Friday, SmackDown's on Friday, and then Crown Jewel on Saturday. So we'll be back next week discussing all that, as well as the upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw, and I'm sure we'll deal with the fallout with WWE Crown Jewel. So we'll be back Tuesday night. 6 p.m. on Eastern time. We go from 6 to 7. I'm not sure. We got daylight savings time coming up one of these days. And,
we do.
So whenever the hell that is, just, we still stay at 6. You just have to make sure if you're in somewhere in the world that doesn't observe, or you're in Arizona, if you're in the state of Arizona that doesn't observe daylight savings time, that's really going to mess you up for the next 6 months. Otherwise, shouldn't be an issue. We're still going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We stream all over the internet. We're currently on streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on Twitch, streaming on Twitter and Periscope. We're streaming on LinkedIn if you're connected with Steve on LinkedIn. So basically, if you search for @TagMeADate, we're @TagMeADate most places on the internet. That's TagMeADate, all one word, no spaces, no underscores, etc. It's TagMeADate, all one word, except for Twitch. Twitch is the only one that's different. It's twitch.tv/War Report. And that's, again, all one word, WARREPORT. And you can, add us as a friend or follower or whatever it is on Twitch. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok at TagMeADate. I got the hiccups now. And We're going to see how this goes, going with the hiccups. And subscribe to our YouTube channel at TagMeADate. You go into the search bar, you type TagMeADate in the YouTube search, hit the subscribe button, and then hit the bell to get notifications for when we go live or when we upload a new video. And again, the lives are 6 p.m. Eastern time every single Tuesday, unless one of our computers explodes like it did last week. If you prefer
get me
the audio
started.
version instead of the video version of the podcast, you can check us out on your podcast app of choice: Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, whatever, whichever one you pick. You either type in "Tag Me a Date" or you type in "The War Report" and you take a search. If you're looking for The War Report, there are 2 wrestling podcasts with the name The War Report, but you will see on the graphic and the description, the icon and the description of the podcast, the words "Tag Me a Date." Steve's name will be on there. My name, Vince, should be on there. You know what I mean? So you'll know it's us just by looking at the graphic in the description. Hit subscribe, and the audio version of the podcast goes right into your phone or mobile device. Within the hour of us going off the air, Ryan's nice enough to grab it, convert it to MP3, and then upload it. So that'll be ready for you. You can take it with you. And, if you're doing your laundry or you're driving in the car, whatever you do when you're listening to podcasts. And otherwise, you can just go to our YouTube or our Twitch, and you can go take a look at our archives as well if you want to go listen to a past show. And that should do it for today. Just want to thank you guys for checking us out again at Tag Me a Date. There's another edition of the War Report in the books. We'll be right back at it next Tuesday, 6 p.m. on Eastern Time for another edition of the show. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a nice rest of your week.